15 eye-opening reasons the royal family profited from the colonial era. The British royal family has a long history deeply intertwined with the colonial era, and as such, their wealth and power are marked by the subjugation, exploitation, and oppression of people around the world. During the colonial era, the British Empire was one of the most powerful empires in the world, and the royal family was at the center of it all. They used their influence and power to build vast wealth and expand their reach across the globe, exploiting the resources and labor of people in colonized nations. Keep watching as we uncover 15 eye-opening reasons the royal family profited from the colonial era. Number 1. Expansion of the British Empire. The British Empire's expansion during the colonial era was a game-changer for the monarchy, which saw its power and influence soar to new heights. The acquisition of territories, resources, and wealth through colonization paved the way for the monarchy to establish its dominance over vast swaths of the globe and left an indelible mark on history. At the heart of the British Empire's success was the crown, which played a central role in every aspect of colonial life. Monarchs invested heavily in the colonial project, providing funding, resources, and personnel to support the growth of the empire. They also established a system of governance that allowed them to maintain control over distant territories, while ensuring that the interests of the crown were protected at all times. The colonial era was also a time of great innovation and progress, with the monarchy leading the charge. New technologies such as steam engines, telegraphs, and railroads transformed the world and helped to connect the far-flung corners of the empire. The monarchy's support for these innovations allowed them to reap the benefits of a rapidly changing world and helped to cement their place in history. Number 2. Economic growth. The history of the British Empire's colonial era is complex and controversial. One area where the impact of colonialism is clear is the economic growth of the British Empire. The acquisition of colonies provided the empire with a rich source of raw materials, markets, and labor, which drove its economic expansion and provided benefits to the royal family and the nation as a whole. The trade in goods such as tea, sugar, and tobacco made many British merchants rich, while the manufacture of textiles and other goods created job opportunities and spurred technological innovations. The empire's global network of colonies and trading posts enabled the British to dominate international trade and amass a vast fortune, with the royal family among its chief beneficiaries. However, this economic growth was not without cost. The exploitation of colonized peoples, including the brutal slave trade, left a dark stain on the history of the British Empire. Number 3. Royal Charters. Royal charters were the keys to unlock the vast wealth and power of the colonial era for both the crown and companies. These charters were not just a piece of paper, but a license to rule and profit from the lands, people, and resources of the colonies. The East India Company and the Hudson's Bay Company, armed with their royal charters, established their monopolies over trade and commerce in the colonies. Their profits soared, and with each shipload of goods, they sent a share of their profits back to the crown, further enriching the royal family. However, the cost of these profits was the exploitation and oppression of the people in the colonies, including the brutal enslavement of millions. These people were forced to work in fields, mines, and factories, generating wealth and power for the royal family. Number 4. Investments. The royal family's involvement in colonial ventures and their resulting profits provide a fascinating glimpse into the interplay between power, politics, and economics during the colonial era. Members of the royal family were not just bystanders, but active players in the world of colonial trade and exploration. Through their investments, the royal family not only sought to accumulate wealth, but also to extend their influence beyond the shores of Britain. Their investments were strategic, meant to ensure that Britain remained at the forefront of colonial expansion, trade, and exploration. One of the most notable examples of the royal family's investment in colonial ventures was the East India Company. This company was responsible for establishing British rule in India and for transforming the country's economy. Members of the royal family were significant shareholders in the company, and wielded considerable influence over its operations. Number 5. Taxes and revenues. During the colonial era, the British royal family greatly benefited from the taxes and revenues generated from their colonies. These colonies were a significant source of wealth for the crown, allowing them to maintain their power and influence in Europe and beyond. The royal family's involvement in colonial affairs began in the early 1600s with the establishment of the Virginia Company, which led to the founding of the Jamestown colony in 1607. Over time, the British Empire expanded to include numerous colonies in North America, Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean. These colonies were highly valuable to the crown as they produced goods such as tobacco, sugar, and cotton that could be sold in Europe for a significant profit. In addition, these colonies provided a captive market for British manufactured goods, further increasing the crown's revenue. But the royal family's interest in colonialism was not just limited to trade and commerce. They also claimed ownership of the land and resources in their colonies, which allowed them to extract valuable minerals and other resources, further contributing to their wealth. Number 6. Global trade. The colonial era was a time of immense economic growth and expansion. The British royal family were shrewd investors, able to identify profitable opportunities in far-off lands, and were not afraid to take risks in pursuit of wealth and power. Their wealth allowed them to indulge in lavish lifestyles, complete with extravagant palaces and feasts. But the royal family's hunger for power and influence went beyond their personal wealth. They used their resources to shape global politics and trade, ensuring that their interests were always at the forefront of international affairs. One example of their influence was the role in the opium trade with China. The royal family, along with the British East India Company, saw an opportunity to capitalize on the Chinese appetite for the drug and set up a monopoly on its production and distribution. This trade, though devastating to Chinese people, brought immense wealth to the royal family and helped establish Britain as a dominant world power. Their dominance in global trade also allowed the royal family to shape the world in their image, from the spread of the English language to the establishment of British cultural norms and traditions in the colonies. Their influence is still felt today, centuries after the colonial era came to an end. Number 7. Infrastructure development. The establishment of colonies by the British during the colonial era sparked a wave of infrastructure development, which profoundly transformed the landscape of the colonies. The building of ports, transportation networks, and other facilities was no mean feat, and it brought significant benefits to the British Crown and the nation. The creation of ports, for instance, provided a gateway for trade and commerce, which fueled the British economy and cemented its position as a global superpower. The transportation networks, on the other hand, allowed for the easy movement of goods, people, and ideas across the colonies, leading to the establishment of bustling cities and towns. Moreover, the infrastructure provided by the British played a critical role in the growth of various sectors, including agriculture, mining, and manufacturing. This in turn boosted employment opportunities, improved living standards, and contributed to the overall progress of the colonies. Number 8. Royal titles. During the colonial era, the British Empire expanded its territories, which allowed the royal family to acquire new titles and prestige. With the acquisition of new lands and territories, the British monarchy was able to strengthen its power and influence in the world. The titles given to members of the royal family included Prince of Wales, Duke of Edinburgh, and Earl of Wessex. These titles were bestowed upon members of the royal family as a symbol of their authority and power. The British Empire also allowed the royal family to claim new territories such as India, Canada, and Australia, where they were viewed as the ultimate authority and were able to profit from the vast resources of these new lands, further increasing their wealth and prestige. The expansion of the British Empire allowed the royal family to assert their dominance and control over vast territories, reinforcing their status as one of the world's most powerful and influential monarchies. Today, the royal family continues to hold many of these titles and territories, cementing their place as a prominent force in the global community. Number 9. Cultural influence. The colonial era was a time of great change and cultural influence, as the British Empire spread its values and traditions across the world. Through the power of language, education, religion, and law, the monarchy's global image was reinforced and solidified. One of the most exciting aspects of this cultural exchange was the spread of the English language and literature. From Shakespeare to Jane Austen, British literature became an essential part of many colonized people's lives, inspiring a love of language and literature that has continued to this day. The English language also became a powerful tool for communication, connecting people across vast distances and bridging cultural divides. Another fascinating aspect of this era was the introduction of British legal and administrative systems in many colonies. These systems helped to establish order and stability in previously chaotic societies, while also spreading the values of fairness, justice, and accountability. Through education and religion, the monarchy's image was further reinforced. British educational institutions were established in many colonies, providing young people with opportunities to learn and grow, while also instilling in them the values of discipline, hard work, and respect for authority. Similarly, the Anglican Church was introduced in many colonies, spreading the message of Christianity and reinforcing the monarchy's position as defender of British values and beliefs. Number 10. Military power. The colonial era was a time of great political and military intrigue, with colonies playing a crucial role in the British Empire's rise to global power. The colonies' contributions to the British monarchy were a vital part of this story, enabling the monarchy to project its power across the globe and protect its interests at home and abroad. Soldiers from far-flung territories like India, Africa, and the Americas fought side by side with their British counterparts, bravely defending the empire's interests in conflicts ranging from the American Revolution to the Crimean War. The colony's resources were also critical to the British military's success, providing essential supplies like food, clothing, and ammunition. The strategic locations of many colonies also gave the British Empire access to vital ports and bases, allowing them to maintain a global military presence that few other nations could match. Number 11. Exploration and scientific advancements. During the colonial era, exploration and scientific advancements were closely intertwined. European powers, including the British royal family, sponsored expeditions to discover new lands, resources, and trade routes. These voyages led to significant scientific discoveries, such as new plants and animals, which were studied and documented by scientists and naturalists. The royal family, through their patronage of scientific institutions, promoted exploration and supported research into the natural world. This support indirectly benefited the royal family, as new discoveries and innovations were often applied to improve the economy and strengthen the empire. One example of the royal family's involvement in scientific advancements is the Royal Society, founded in 1660. The Royal Society became the premier scientific institution in Europe and was supported by the royal family. The Society's members conducted research on a wide range of subjects, including astronomy, botany, and medicine, leading to groundbreaking discoveries and advancements in these fields. Additionally, the royal family sponsored voyages of exploration, including Captain James Cook's famous expeditions to the Pacific. These voyages resulted in significant scientific discoveries, such as the mapping of previously unknown regions and the cataloging of new species of flora and fauna. Number 12. Diplomatic leverage. The British Crown's possession of colonies during the colonial era wasn't just about claiming land, it was about claiming power. Through the colonies, the British gained a strategic advantage in international diplomacy. The colonies provided Britain with valuable resources that could be used to fund wars and finance their allies. The wealth generated from these resources, such as gold and spices, enabled them to barter from a position of strength and secure favorable terms in international negotiations. The British Empire also had a profound impact on the cultures of colonies they possessed, and this cultural influence helped to reinforce their diplomatic leverage. The spread of the British language, customs, and values helped to create a network of cultural influence that extended far beyond the borders of the British Empire. Number 13. Patronage and appointments. During the colonial era, the royal family's use of patronage and appointments was like a game of chess, where each move was calculated to consolidate their power in the colonies. They strategically placed individuals in key positions, ensuring that their interests were protected and their influence remained unchallenged. Their appointments of governors and judges were like knights and bishops on a chessboard, moving strategically to control the game. The royal family's power was further strengthened by their ability to recommend individuals for important positions. However, just like in a game of chess, the royal family's use of patronage and appointments had its consequences. Corruption was like a rogue pawn that could undermine the entire game, ultimately leading to the colony's independence. The royal family's use of patronage and appointments also had a positive impact on the colonies. They supported individuals in the arts and sciences, like pieces on a chessboard that were strategically placed to build a rich cultural landscape in the colonies. Number 14. Art and cultural treasures. Amidst the centuries-long reign of the British Empire, the acquisition of art and cultural treasures from the colonies served as a symbol of power and prosperity for the royal family. These treasures, often transported across vast oceans on perilous journeys, were proudly displayed as glittering jewels in the crown of the British monarchy. The royal collection embodies the cultural legacy of the British Empire. It contains a diverse range of items, including precious paintings, intricate sculptures, majestic furniture, and exotic cultural artifacts. The colonial era brought an influx of treasures that added to the grandeur of the royal collection. The art and cultural artifacts sent from the colonies served as fascinating glimpses into distant lands and cultures. The royal family reveled in their magnificence, and visitors to the collection continued to marvel at their intricate beauty. While the acquisition of these treasures was not without controversy, it's undeniable that they've played an essential role in shaping the cultural heritage of the British Empire. Today, the royal collection stands as a testament to the remarkable stories of the people and cultures that contributed to its evolution over the years. Number 15. Philanthropy and Prestige. During the colonial era, the royal family was not only a symbol of power, but also a beacon of philanthropy. By supporting charitable institutions and sponsoring scientific research, they were able to project an image of benevolence and enlightenment to the colonized people, who often revered them as godlike figures. The royal family's philanthropy was not merely an act of generosity, but also a shrewd move to secure their position. By supporting projects that improved the lives of the local population, they were able to gain their loyalty and gratitude, which helped maintain their control over the colonies. This was particularly important in an era where colonialism was being challenged. Furthermore, the royal family's support of scientific research allowed them to claim credit for discoveries and innovations by the colony's resources and people. This helped bolster their reputation as trailblazers and patrons of progress, which further enhanced their prestige and influence. While their support of philanthropic projects helped improve the lives of many, it also served to perpetuate the colonial system, which was characterized by exploitation and inequality. The history of the royal family's connection to the colonial era is a complex and controversial one. While it's true that the royal families enjoyed significant financial benefits during this time, it's also important to consider the broader implications of the colonial enterprise. Many argue that profits earned by the royal family were built on the exploitation and oppression of colonized peoples, and that these profits were only possible because of the systemic violence and inequality that characterized the colonial project. It's also worth noting that the legacy of colonialism continues to shape our world today, with many former colonies still struggling with the lasting effects of exploitation and oppression. By reflecting on the royal family's role in this history, we can gain a better understanding of the complexities of power and privilege, and work towards a more just and equitable future. What are your thoughts on this topic? We'd love to hear your perspective in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, please consider giving it a like and sharing it with others. Thank you for watching.